Wow, that's weird. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me? Oh,
Yeah,
I just froze.
you're back.
You look so pretty.
Thank you. Decided I needed to really up my game.
You look awake and aware. I'm asleep over here. I'm like, woo.
So Destiny's running a few minutes late.
Okay.
So I have the slideshow,
Okay.
and yep, I'm ready to rock and roll. I just texted people and said we're going to open them, let them join in a few minutes.
I don't like the way my lighting looks.
So yeah, I wanted people to get settled.
Okay, I'm gonna turn on a different light. See if I can make this a little. Oh, God, who is calling me? Really? Right now? Oh, it's the pharmacy.
You look good. Love it. Yay. We're twinning. Anyway, Lisa, do you
Yeah.
drink?
Occasionally, not very often.
And what's your beverage of choice?
Oh, usually like Prosecco,
Okay.
bubbly,
Okay.
but not very often.
Right. This
I
is
don't.
recording, by the way.
Oh,
Okay.
well,
I'm
just
gonna let them in and get serious.
a little pinch on New Year's Eve. Nothing.
Here we go. All right, we're gonna admit all.
All right.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello, hello. We still have a couple minutes before we're supposed to start. Lisa, I just turned off the waiting room. So if I tried to, at least, so if you see waiting room pop up, let me know
Okay.
because it shouldn't. Okay.
Okay. I'll keep an eye on that.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's 6 o'clock. So I want to get us started and make the best use of our time. Um, we should have um, hopefully quite a few people joining us today. So yeah, I want to make sure that there's time for questions and answers at the end, and that we really do make this the best use of your time. So I will start by introducing myself. My name is Crystal Rogers, and I am the Associate Dean for Academic Programs here at the School of Social Welfare. So what that means is I oversee the BSW, the MSW, the PhD program, and all things really academic here in the school. I am a 3-time alum of UAlbany. I got my bachelor's here in psychology and my MSW from the School of Social Work and my PhD from the School of Social Work. I have been a part-time student. I have been a full-time student. I have been a dual degree student here at the school. So I really do try to bring that student experience to the work that I do and the decisions that I make. I am really proud to have been working here for, gosh, over 20 years now. And we have a wonderful team of administrators and faculty and staff. And I will let Lisa introduce herself next. And we'll continue to talk to you about how the evening is going to progress. Lisa?
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Delamater. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I'm the Assistant Dean and Director of Field Education for our BSW and our MSW programs. So my role here at the school is to work with my amazing team of assistant directors to create quality field practicum opportunities for those of you in the well, I don't think there's any BSW seniors here, but in the MSW program. And so unlike Crystal, I went west all the way out to SUNY Geneseo, to the tiniest town with one traffic light, if anyone's familiar, for undergrad. And then I said, let me try something different. So I'll just move to Manhattan for grad school and do the most opposite possible thing on the planet. And so I was in the city, for grad school, and stayed there for many years, actually, after graduate school, really just kind of enjoying the programming and social work opportunities that were in the city. But I was born and raised here in the capital region. And so, family and relationships and aging parents and all that good stuff kind of brought me back home. So I've been thrilled, to be able to be with the School of Social Welfare for the past 8 years or so, working in this field education office. And I would just echo, Crystal's sentiment that the staff here at the School of Social Welfare have worked together for quite some time and just have a really good working relationship, in the office and outside of the office. We really want our students to succeed. And we also want the profession of social work to proceed, to be to flourish, to continue to flourish. So we're kind of really here to help you sort of get to that goal yourself. So I have spotted another one of our colleagues here on the call, so I will let her introduce herself before we get started to the business of the evening. So Kate, may I turn it over to you for a quick hello?
You absolutely may. Hello, my name is Catherine Lawrence. I am an alum of the MSW program, an alum of the PhD program, and currently the MSW program chair. And are we saying just a general hello, or is it life story time?
General hello, I think.
Yeah, you don't have to do what we did.
Okay.
Our ramblings.
Yeah.
I will just say, as I was thinking about this event and thinking about the social work profession and where you all are as applicants to the program, I was just thinking about the range and diversity of what I've been able to do with my MSW, a graduate of this program, and what I see other people doing. So if you're contemplating this profession or another profession, that's one of the things I just adore about the social work profession, is it really encompasses our social lives, as big as they can be, and as minute and micro as they can be. So anyway, I'm very glad to be here and see so many folks here too.
Excellent. Thanks, Kate. I failed to say that my pronouns are she, her, hers as well. We should have another staff member, Destiny Bender, joining us. Destiny is not here yet, but at some point she might pop in, and I may give her the opportunity to introduce herself as well. So I would love it. I have a quick little request, if possible. I know that many people have their cameras off, but if you are willing to turn your cameras on, that would be so awesome. for us. Gives us a chance to start to match names with faces. It's much easier when you're talking to people to talk to faces and not just names. And we are social work after all, right? We are social. So we're doing our best to kind of like, to manifest that in this Zoom space. Okay. I am going to share my screen, and so we can get started. Actually, just a quick show of hands. I don't know if that's possible here, because I have multiple screens going, but I'm assuming we have people interested in the advanced standing program. Is that correct? Advanced standing, people who are in BSW program. Yes, give us a wave. Nessie, one.
At least one, and another on off screen. Okay.
Okay. All right. People interested in the part-time MSW program. Part-time, 60 credits. Okay.
I see some hands.
All right. People interested in the full-time MSW folks. Okay, we got you're represented here too. Excellent. Okay. And last but certainly not least, actually, there's two more. People interested in the online MSW program. Are we have any here?
I see a few.
Okay. And anybody interested in dual degrees at all? Yep. Okay. So we got some of those too. All right. So we got a lot of ground to cover. Okay. So let's get to it. I will say, if you have questions along the way, you can certainly drop them in the chat. Okay. And hopefully we can address them real time if possible. If not, we'll try to circle back and get to them. Also, Lisa stated that we work together very closely, and that's very true. You may see that in our communication style. All right. We are not talking over one another or kind of interrupting. We work very collaboratively, and I certainly invite my colleagues to join in to say something I may have forgotten, to correct me, etc. It's not rudeness. It's just teamwork on our end. Okay. All right, let's see if I can share my screen. You would think after 3 years of this, I would be better than I am. I'm not. So we're going to give it a try. Okay. All right. Got everybody? Okay, perfect. So it's December 20th. It's a Wednesday. We're almost at the solstice, and we are here to talk about the MSW program to a group of people who are interested in getting their MSW. So you right now are the best people on earth for us right now. We are really happy that you're here and really just excited that you're interested in the program. Okay. And fast forwarding, let's see, I'm going to do this. There we go. Okay. So just to give us a quick overview of what we're going to do today, we're going to talk a little bit about the School of Social Welfare. We're going to talk about the curriculum of the MSW program. Lisa is going to give us an overview of the field practicum experience. We're going to talk about tuition, scholarships, some housing, the application process, and we may have some students joining us. So we're going to have questions that you as applicants may have specifically for students, and then a question and answer period. That's kind of the flow of the day. All right, so to talk a little bit about the mission of the school, just in general, we are a school that's really concerned with educating social workers at the bachelor's, master's, doctoral, and postgraduate level to create leaders in the field of social work, generating knowledge, okay, and research. We are really concerned with social and economic justice, both looking at our program and our curriculum in terms of justice, and how we make sure that, or we guide our students into practicing in a socially and economically just way. We are a public university, meaning that we are really concerned with educating the public of New York State, okay? And being both locally, globally, and nationally, okay, to enhance the well-being and functioning of everyone. That's no small task there. And let's see, a little bit about the ranking of the school. We are nationally ranked for our research. So our faculty, one of the main goals or the main jobs of our faculty are to do research and to publish, and our faculty are pretty good at it. And so our rankings, we are ranked nationally, and we also have a very diverse faculty and staff. So you will see a variety of races, gender identities, sexual orientations, religions represented amongst our faculty and our staff as well. Our faculty also engage in multiple areas of research. So some of the areas of research where we're strong are child welfare. Let's see, substance abuse. Kate, also you're more on top of the research of the faculty. What type of research are our faculty primarily engaged in? Mental health?
Mental health, working with refugee populations, spiritual approaches to practice. We have faculty who are looking, several faculty who have international research agendas, faculty who are looking at women in Asian and Mid-Eastern countries and responses to patriarchy, policy issues. Yeah.
Yes. Mental
Okay.
health of Black women, veterans.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So multiple areas. All right. And we also are really proud of the structural supports that we have for our student body. So when we admit our students into the program, our goal is really to have you graduate, right? And to support you along the way. So my office, the field office, you will have academic advisors, and there's also student groups to really help support our students while they're in the program. Okay. You know, there's so many screens and things like on this. It's really kind of comical. All right. So where are we located? We are located on the downtown campus. All right. So if you're familiar with the University at Albany, you're mostly familiar with the fact that we have 3 campuses. There's the Uptown campus, and that's the campus that people typically think of when they think of UAlbany. We're on the downtown campus, the original, right? We're the OG at UAlbany. And so we are actually located by Washington Park, in a few minutes from the Capitol and really the center of government for New York State. So we absolutely, positively take advantage of that, in that our students will have practicum opportunities in some local government offices. We have local people on to talk about statewide licensing, right, who are down the street. They come in and they speak directly to our students. So we really take advantage of this location as well. Okay. And just so people know, UAlbany 3 campuses. I said Uptown campus, the downtown campus where we are, and there's an East campus, and that's where the School of Public Health is located, just so that you're aware. Okay. And again, colleagues, if you have anything to add, just chime on in. Okay. I don't know what forwarding is giving me. Oh, okay. So what do social workers do? Right. Kate started to talk about this a little bit. And it's really hard to kind of state exactly what social workers do, because we do so many things with so many people in so many places, right? If I said to you, where do doctors work? You would typically think, oh, maybe a hospital, maybe a doctor's office, maybe a lab. If I said to you, where do teachers work? You think, oh, they're in a school type setting. If I say to you, where do social workers work? Ooh, we're everywhere. Okay. So we tend to think of social workers as agents of change. We are concerned with bringing about some type of change as per our client system, right? So typically we work with clients who want to make changes in their lives, and our goal is to help them along the way, and changes in their lives or in their organizations or in their communities. Okay. Again, we're working with a variety of populations, children, the elderly, people with disabilities, immigrant populations, incarcerated populations, hospital settings, right? Child welfare, okay, schools. We work with a variety of people in a variety of settings. Again, if I went through all my colleagues and said, hey, before you came to School of Social Welfare, where did you work, right? You would hear so many different answers amongst us. And our students are placed in so many different types of setting for their practicum experience as well. And we're also about becoming or creating scientific practitioners. And what does that mean? That means that when you're working or practicing, what you're doing has some type of evidence base to it, that there's some type of knowledge and scholarship that's supporting the type of interventions that you use, the type of questions and assessments that you may make, all right, and how you may go about terminating with your client. So there's information supporting and guiding your decisions, information and theories and research, etc. Okay. Colleagues, anything to add?
Nice job, Crystal.
Great description.
Okay. Okay. So an overview of the MSW program. We are accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, CSWE. Okay? This is the body that determines and sets the criteria for social work education nationally. Okay, it is incredibly important. CSWE. Okay, if you're looking at another school of social work, you always want to ask them to make sure that they are accredited, because it means that your degree is going to be recognized nationally. Okay, and again, if you're looking, even if you're looking at any other type of graduate program in a helping profession or other, you always want to ask them about their accreditation and if they are currently accredited, because it's so essential. Okay, so yes, we are currently accredited. The MSW program requires completion of 60 credit hours, right? So it's a 60 credit hour master's program. The first 31 of those 60 credits are considered your generalist education. They focus on a generalist curriculum. So they're going to give you the foundation, the building blocks of your social work education, right? So some information about policy and policy practice and the typical development of individuals, communities, groups in the human development, right? And then a little bit about the quote unquote, I'm using air quotes here, dysfunctional development, right? In terms of psychopathologies in our human behavior too. We're going to talk about, you'll learn about practicing and assessment and engagement and intervention and termination with individuals and groups and families and organizations in the micro and the macro sequence, as well as research that's going to be supporting all of that work along the way. And you're doing your field practicum, which Lisa is going to talk about a great deal. That's kind of a brief overview of that generalist curriculum. In the second year, okay, second year if you're full-time, we'll say the last 29 credits, then students move on to choose either the clinical concentration or the macro concentration. The clinical concentration is really more training you to be more of a clinical practicing social worker and working in a therapeutic type of milieu, right? Working more with individuals, families, and small groups. Okay? Whereas the macro concentration is more about working and bringing about change in larger systems. So organizations, right? Communities, more of working at the policy level as well. Okay, so that's again a brief overview. Okay, I am so excited to say that we have a curriculum revision underway. We are nearly finished with this. It's been a labor of love that we worked on through a global pandemic, through an accreditation. And we're really excited that we're at the finish line. But what that means for you is that you are going to start to see this new curriculum infused in the program. All right. And we are hoping that as soon as fall 2024, we can start to offer some of the courses, the newly revised, the courses that are representing this new curriculum, and have it offered so that you can start to get an introduction to that as well. Okay. Again, colleagues, anything about the overview? Nope. Okay, I'm going to keep on going until somebody stops me. All right. Okay. So
Crystal, I just wanted to let you know that Destiny's been able to join us. Hi,
oh, okay. Great.
If you
Thank
need
you,
her
Destiny. Do you
turn.
want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yes, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Destiny Bender. I am a graduate assistant. I'm serving as an admissions and recruitment coordinator at the moment. I am a fourth year PhD student, and I also went here at UAlbany for my MSW program. So yeah, I'm biased, but yes.
Great. Thank you, Destiny. Okay. So this is great timing because I might ask you to chime in a little bit about the dual degrees.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the MSW program, right? There are so many different ways to get the MSW program. Okay. So we have non-degree, and this is for people who want to, they're not quite sure if they want their MSW yet, and they want to get a sense of what the program or what this thing of social work is about, or maybe they want to make the case for a stronger application, and they say, hey, why don't I try to take a couple courses and really knock them out of the park and then apply to the MSW program. So non-degree is really you're not married to the MSW program yet. I always say you're dating, you're not married. Okay. And you can take up to 12 credits as a non-degree student. We have a full-time MSW program, and as I said earlier, that takes 2 years. Right. With the first year being your generalist year and your second year being your advanced concentration year. And that's what I described. It also includes each semester, you're typically taking 4 courses plus doing a field practicum. Okay. So in those 2 years, right, for at least 3 of those semesters, it's 4 courses in field. Your last semester is actually 3 courses plus field. That's how it's modeled. Okay. And as I said, you're taking a field practicum each semester. If you're interested in the part-time program, right, that is scheduled to be 4 years. It's almost like you take the full-time program and you just stretch it a little bit further. Okay. And that's scheduled for people to take 2 courses in the fall and the spring and 1 in the summer across 4 years, with your field practicum occurring in year 2 and in year 4. Okay. Advanced standing, again, these are for people who have a BSW from an accredited program. Okay. It's scheduled to take 1 calendar year. So you start in summer, you go in the fall semester, you go in the spring semester, and you're done, right? That's assuming that you get, up to 21 of your undergraduate credits applied. So in essence, what the advanced standing does is, again, I said this, the MSW is 60 credits. For advanced standing, we can take up to 21 credits from your undergraduate program, right? Some of those building blocks, those foundation courses that people with a BSW had in their BSW, and use them towards their master's degree. So it takes that 60 credit program and it shrinks it down to what could be a 39 credit program. Okay. And again, field practicum for advanced standing is occurring in the summer, in the fall, and in the spring. All right. And instead of 2 practicums, it's just 1. Okay. And again, I think Lisa's going to talk in more detail about that. I see her nodding a lot. Okay. And then we have dual degrees in the area of criminal justice, public health, Albany law, and a joint MSW PhD program. And Destiny, you want to say a little bit about what a dual degree is?
Sure. So, yeah, hi again. So a dual degree is kind of just the integration of integrated approach to addressing and solving human health problems. So for the example, the MSW and PH, which is the Masters in Social Welfare and the Masters in Public Health, it kind of addresses integrated approaches, emphasizes like human health prevention, health impact, population health, community health, health equity throughout our population. the MSW MA, which is the MSW and the Masters in Criminal Justice. It's kind of individuals who are kind of want to identify like rehabilitative services, justice systems, find justice in justice systems, okay? Criminal facility, we're looking at correctional facilities, sorry, not criminal, and supporting families who are recidivizing families or have recidivizing individuals. The MSW JD, which is the MSW in Juris Doctorate from Albany Law, is again very similar to criminal justice, where we kind of find an integrated approach between the law and the social justice fields. And the MSW MPH, which is my favorite. The MSW PhD, which is my favorite, is for individuals who kind of want that theory, that higher level of understanding for social work theory, social work foundations. You kind of want to expand your knowledge and you want to give back. So you want to, a lot of people that do this degree go in academia. So we give back to the future generation of social workers.
Okay, thank you. Great. And, generally speaking, with the dual degrees, I'd always say that they're kind of 2 degrees for the time and price of 1.5, right? Except for the Albany Law. That's the 2 degrees for the time and price of 2 degrees, okay? And typically, you can begin a dual degree after you start the MSW. So some people will come in and not know that they want the dual degree yet. Okay. And that's okay with the exception of Albany Law. Albany Law, you do have to start that program because you start at the law school, and they will not take any credits from the MSW if you take them before the law school. So that's one where it's really critical that you start at the onset. But generally speaking, the sooner you know, the better it is, so that we can make sure that we're maximizing the credits that you're getting from the other program, right? And you'll get a special advisor who works specifically with dual degree students. And the online MSW program, again, something we are really excited about. 2024 is going to be our inaugural year of the online MSW program. It is scheduled to take 3 years. It's kind of a modified part-time program. It's really designed for people who are working full-time, need more flexibility in their schedule, or might be in areas outside of the Capital District, right? Where there's many parts of New York State that don't have access, or the population don't have access to MSW programs, like in the North Country. Okay? So that's what our online program is about. Again, it's part-time. It is, in that program, you're doing your field practicum in year 2 and year 3. Okay. And I'll say a little bit more about the online program in a bit. We're going to keep on going. Okay.
Crystal, would you like me to give you some questions that are coming through the chat that are related to what you're presenting on in the moment, or would you prefer to wait till the end?
This is great now, yes.
In the moment. Okay, so a good one is, are you able to start the online program in the spring semester? Or maybe you're going to talk more about that.
I will talk more about that one. Yep.
Okay, next one. Are people in advanced standing able to do advanced standing, dual degree, PhD?
No. That's a great question. All right. So
Yeah.
whenever you think about the advanced standing or dual degree, I think to think about double dipping, right? You're double dipping, okay? And you can't triple dip, okay? Those are the advanced standing and dual degrees. They're creative ways that we can maximize your credits and stretch them, okay? But we can't do advanced standing and dual degree because that's stretching it a little too much, okay? So it's either the advanced standing or a dual degree. Okay.
One more relevant question.
Mhm.
Are people, how long into the program do we have to make a decision about a dual degree?
It depends on the specific dual degree. All right. So one of the key thing about a dual degree is that there's at least 1 semester where you overlap. Okay. At least 1 semester. The earlier you know, the better. Okay, because there might be courses in your second year that you wouldn't take, say, in the School of Social Welfare if you're in the MSW MPH program. Okay, so the goal is, I always recommend students say, by your second year, you know that you're in that dual degree. Okay, with the exception, the MSW PhD is one that you could put off until the spring semester of your second year, right before you graduate with the MSW. Okay.
I'm going to answer a couple other questions in the chat. And I think it looks like we can move forward.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Lisa. Very
No
helpful.
problem.
Okay, so yes, the online MSW program. It's effective in fall 2024. Okay. It's the same curriculum as the part-time, the full-time program. Same one, right? Same degree, MSW. What's different is the modality, right? So the online MSW program has a distinct modality, and that we are guaranteeing that you have your courses in an online modality for the duration of your MSW. Okay, and those are going to be fully asynchronous with the exception of field. Okay, so it's a 60 credit program that occurs over 3 years. You're taking courses in the fall, in the spring, and in the summer. It's a cohort model, meaning you come into this program in the fall only. Okay, and you start and you follow the model very specifically. Okay. Right. And it's kind of, so this cohort moves together into their first year, into their second year, into the third year. Okay. It's not possible to say join the online MSW program in the second year. You have to start in year 1 for the online MSW. If you get in year 1 and you're like, ooh, this is not for me, you can certainly move to the part-time or the full-time program. Okay. So you can move out of it. But if you're a full-time or a part-time student and you're like, wow, I've done some credits and, I want to now go into online program, that's what can't happen. Okay. So it's kind of like this pipeline specifically for people who are going to do the online program. Okay. Any questions about that?
Crystal, I do have a question about the online program and
Yeah.
the full-time in-person program. Are students able to put together a hybrid schedule when that works best for them, or do you have to be in the online program to take an online section of a course?
No, so we will offer several sections of courses online, either asynchronous or synchronous, for the people in the part-time or the MSW program. Okay. All right. And if you, is that what you meant by hybrid? Kind of
That's
like
exactly what I meant. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, Jason. Thank you.
So Liz has a couple of questions. Liz, I'm going to speak about the field practicum piece as it relates to the online program, but her other question, how many college classes per semester for the online program?
It is, and Destiny, you can help me with this, or maybe if you find it and at some point we can share it or link to it at some point as well.
Sure.
It is 2 courses, I think, in fall, spring, and summer for 3 years.
Yes, I'll put the link to it in the chat for you guys.
Perfect. Okay, so there's actual model. When I say it's a cohort model, right? So what Destiny's going to put in, those are, if you get into the online MSW in fall 2024, you'll see like year 1, those are the courses you'll be taking. Year 2, those are the courses you'll be taking. Okay.
One more, I think, great question about online. But let me find it because everything's moving. Is it possible to graduate early with the online program?
I would say it might be possible. You might be able to move a little in year 3, take some additional courses if they're offered online. Like, we can't guarantee that. Okay.
Oh, and the field
Right.
practice.
And the field. Oh, that's right. The field.
Oh, so I think that's a no.
That's a no. Thank you, Lisa. That's a no. Okay. Because again, we're modeling, we're setting this up so that we are guaranteeing you these courses in an online asynchronous format, right? Your seat is there. And so that's why a lot of movement, right, isn't really feasible right now. Okay.
Mhm.
And the field occurs in year 2 and in year 3. So that's why doing it earlier isn't possible, because you have to complete that second field practicum. Lisa, thank you so much for that.
Oh, absolutely. And I think several people have asked this next question. I kind of think you just ended up answering it, but you know how sometimes you just need to hear it in the way your question was formed. Can you start in the online program and then switch into the in-person program?
Yes. But not vice versa.
Ooh. Let's say that again.
Yes, you can start in the online program, but then switch into the in-person program. But you cannot start in the in-person program and switch into the online program. Okay. And the other thing to remember is, again, for the in-person program, we will still have online courses available for you. We just cannot guarantee that you can complete the program online, or you're going to get a specific online section. Okay. When you get into this online MSW program, again, I said about marriage, we're married to you. We're committed to giving you these courses in a specific order in an online asynchronous format.
And I also wanted to reassure one of our attendees that folks in the advanced standing program do have the ability to register for some classes in an online format, but that's based on the factors Crystal listed earlier: availability, scheduling, right? And another great question: are there both macro and clinical options in the online program?
Wonderful question. I should actually update the slide. Thank you. It is clinical only right now. Okay. It's clinical only.
A really good point. I think I'm going to talk about field. One more dual degree question. I know that was the previous slide, but while folks are still in that train of thought, if someone's considering the MSW PhD dual degree, how long would they have to kind of know that they want to apply for the PhD portion after they start the MSW?
The MSW PhD for that one, it is up until the last semester before you graduate.
Ooh, how exciting.
That's the
news.
longest one. All right. Now, if you decide earlier, you save yourself some time, you get some
Right.
credit. But
Right.
up until the last semester is the last point at which you can make the decision or apply for.
I believe we're up to date on questions in the chat that aren't related to field.
Okay, excellent. Okay.
And you're welcome, Amelia. Night, night. Who's signing off? Bye, Amelia.
All right, and that's great timing because we'll move
ta-da.
to field facts.
All right. So now I am going to close the chat, because if I don't, I will get so distracted while I'm trying to speak to all of you.
And I will take over the chat. How's that?
Okay. Thank you. So for anyone who might have joined the call a little bit late, my name is Lisa. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the director of field education. So my responsibility to the MSW program is to help create qualified, amazing field practicums that you all can complete in community agencies near to where you live. There are folks on this call who are applying to different versions of our MSW program. And so some of the field practicum policies and procedures are different based on what program you're looking into. Okay. So I've got some notes here. And first, I am going to talk about folks who want to do the 2-year full-time MSW program or the 4-year part-time program. Okay. And that's what these first 2 major bullet points are about. This is not about the online program or advanced standing. but I am going to talk about those too. Okay. So for folks in the full-time MSW program, you will do what we call a generalist field practicum, and it's one field practicum that spans the entire academic year. You will be placed into one local human services agency to experience some of the micro, meso, and macro level foundational social work practice skills available to you at those agencies. You will be placed there by the field office. The field office selects your first field or the generalist field practicum for you based off of information you're going to give us in a field application. You will have the opportunity to tell us many things about yourself and your previous experiences, your learning style, your desires, and you will have to submit an updated resume as well. So the field office will take all of that into consideration when selecting a practicum for you. The application also includes where you're going to live during field so that we can take that into consideration when selecting your placement. Okay? Typically, generalist field occurs on Mondays and Tuesdays. 2 8-hour, what you would think of as traditional work days. Can there be some exceptions to that? Yes, but only if the agency asks you to complete your practicum on a different day of the week, because that's when they're running a group that they want you to run. That's when they have treatment team meeting. That's when you would miss out on an important experience. And if that other day of the week doesn't clash with your required classes. Okay. So you're going to want to think about having Mondays and Tuesdays carved out for your field practicum in the first year of the full-time program. And what year if you're in the part-time program? That's year 2. Mondays and Tuesdays, 8-hour days, local to where you live, but I like to give the caveat, and this is written on the field application as well, that folks can have to drive up to an hour to reach their field practicum. We try not to do that. Why would we ever try to do that, right? But there are a number of factors that go into selecting placements for folks, and other colleges are competing for the same field practicum sites, okay? You will also have the opportunity to tell us if you don't have a vehicle. Then we need to find you a field practicum on a bus line, okay? So all these kinds of things we're gonna ask of you. Select the placement for you. If you're in the MSW full-time program, you will take second field, or what we call advanced concentration field, in the second year of your program. It is another year-long internship at one place, one agency. The difference, the biggest difference, is you get to select the agency and the population that you want to work with. The field office hosts an information session during your first year and teaches you literally what our process is, what the agencies expect of you when you're out there looking for your placement, what's micro, what's macro, all the counties in New York State and beyond, and what agencies we work with. We'll show you how to do it, but you will have the opportunity to select your own field practicum for advanced concentration year, okay? Bye, Matthew. I know folks are signing off and they're saying thank you and night-night. So second field typically occurs on Thursdays and Fridays. Same idea, 2 full days during a traditional work day. Can some exceptions be made? Yes, but with communication with the field office and with prior approval. And a question that I'm just going to get out of the way right now. The most that you can separate your field hours into is 1 8-hour day and 2 4-hour days. That's the most you can break it apart. So here's what I mean. We're not here to have you go 2 hours one day, 2 hours the next evening, 2 hours over here. We want you to experience a complete and full work day or chunk of time when you're experiencing graduate level expectations of a social work practitioner, experiencing the organizational culture and climate of what's going on there, your work colleagues, having to prioritize your tasks during a work day. We find that if you split it up any more than that, our students really lose some of the most important learning experiences of the practicum itself, okay? How much more do I want to say about First Field? Whether it's Crystal, Kate, Destiny, are you getting some questions that I could answer about this before I speak about online or advanced standing, or should I keep going at this point? I know Field, there's always a ton of questions.
I do have one.
Sure, sure, sure.
Kate is going to be leaving us soon, by the
Okay.
way. So, bye, Kate. Thank you for joining us. Nicole is asking if the field site can be changed, if travel abilities change. Located in Oneonta, and there aren't many buses near me except for what runs in town.
So, I mean, that's a great question. Typically, we will not want to change your field practicum mid-year because the idea of the 2-semester long field practicum is that you're experiencing one organization, one set of clients, one set of colleagues, one set of supervisors over a long period of time, and that your learning kind of builds on itself over that year. If something really changes with someone's circumstance, you will have access. Every single student is assigned someone called a field liaison. And that person is a community social worker hired by us literally to serve as liaisons for all of your practicums. And you would go to them and say, I've had a change in circumstance. I've had to unexpectedly move. And we would talk through what our options are. But if we get your field application and we have questions like, you live in this town and I don't think they have CDTA over there, like, we're going to call you to help try to figure out what we should do for your practicum early on to try to get you a successful opportunity.
Okay, there was another question about what if you have no experience in social work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when the School of Social Welfare receives applications, we have a review process. And yes, one of the items we do look at when we're reviewing program applications is previous volunteer work, maybe internship opportunity, maybe leadership roles at an undergraduate degree or in your local church or synagogue or at home, maybe camps you might have worked at as a counselor. All of that is taken into consideration and should be put on your resume, because even if you are a shift leader at McDonald's, that demonstrates a certain amount of leadership ability, right? And that's where I started. And then I went into the pizza biz for a while. So we all start somewhere, right? Would it be excellent if you have any spare time to be doing some volunteer work, some internship work that might start to give you some of this experience? Yes, but it's not just a requirement and automatically means your application is going to be thrown out.
Okay, and we have, how do students working full-time handle completing the field practicum?
What a great question. So, can we stop screen sharing for a quick second? I want to have a heart to heart. Heart to heart. Anyone who works full time, look at me. I'm a nice person. Hi. We want you to succeed. The biggest obstacle, I will tell you, I'm 8 years in, right? So 8 academic cycles. I can tell you the biggest obstacle to successful completion of the program is when folks who work full time don't make arrangements to be available for the field practicum during its required hours. And with all good intentions, they try to like fly under the radar and make a different plan when they go on their interview. I assign you a field placement that's Mondays and Tuesdays, 9 to 5. You go on the interview and you're kind of like, I work full time. Could I do evenings? Could I do the weekend? And you stay out of consulting the field office. Someone feels bad for you, so they say yes. And then at the end of the day, there isn't enough learning opportunities for you in the evening because that's not when the clients are there. Something comes to a head. It happens to me every year. So this is one of the biggest catches when it comes to participating in a graduate program for a licensed helping professional degree. The practicum is required. It's credit bearing. We can't give out credits for life experience or previous human services work experience, the practicum is required. And the generalist practicum, I could say that there's probably 2 that I can think of that have any evening hours. So folks have to work with their employer and help them to understand the requirements of the program. We've had numerous students be successful in arranging to do their Monday and Tuesday work other hours of the week, because you sell it to your employer that I'm getting my MSW degree. I'm going to be able to bring new skills back to the table. I'm going to this, I'm going to, right? But I can't encourage enough that you have that conversation now and don't catch anybody by surprise. And maybe we're going to actually talk about employment-based field as another option, but I really want to like hammer the point home that you have to be available for field. Second field, there might be more than 2 that have evening and weekend hours. There might be 5 to 7 like hospital ERs that take students on maybe an overnight shift or something like that. But we're talking out of hundreds of students. I'm really nice. But I want to be super honest so that folks know what they're getting into and can have those conversations. That's what I would say about working full time. So I get that it's like an obstacle, but the sooner you plan for it, the better the outcome will be with your employer.
Lisa, I think you addressed this, but I just want to make sure. There was a follow-up question about what do we do if our employer won't approve us to have those days off? You think you answered that, addressed that?
I mean, this is one of those things similar with some that I gave to you where like, I know I sort of said it, but I have to like put on my big girl pants and say like, then you have to be available for let me say it backwards. You have to be available for the practicum to be in the MSW program and to complete it. So some people have said, oh, wow, I didn't realize that. So maybe by next fall, maybe I need to switch jobs to an employer that's going to be more flexible. Maybe I need to go down to part-time and relook at my finances, because it feels like forever, but it really is a short period of time in life to get the degree that then you're going to have forever. But it's got to be up to you, your employer, your own finances, health insurance, all that good stuff, because we understand that that's relevant. But you have to.
Can I jump in here, Lisa?
Please.
Again, I graduated the program in 2022, I think it was. Juggling a full-time job, field, and coursework is what you have to kind of consider when trying to have a full-time job in the program. I believe it is a great program. I know it's a great program, but it's intensive, as in there's a lot for you to learn, a lot of foundation for you to build in the program. So just think about juggling, again, your field, your work, your classwork, and then your own personal lives, and how you may feel after the end of the day after, we want to get you through, we want to get you graduating, and we don't want you to be burned out and bogged down before graduating. So just think about these things when you apply and have a full-time job, because again, we want you to graduate and get through the program. So just take those things into consideration when applying to the program.
Thank you so much, Destiny. Real life experience and a success story, but I know I had to drop down to part-time, but I mean, I had to keep my health insurance. It's a lot of decisions and they're big deals. We really do understand that. However, there's just no getting around the requirement, and then the requirement is there so that we can build these social work skills and trust that in a really short period of time, only a couple of years, you're going to be ready to get this degree and work with our most vulnerable kind of communities and populations, right?
And also, I should add also some of those requirements too are from CSWE in terms of the number of hours that you have to complete. It's not School of Social Welfare saying you need this many hours. Yeah,
correct.
We're reading their accreditation standards as well.
Yeah, we're guided by those national accreditation standards that were created around what is the best practice to train a future social worker, right? And we require the most minimum number of hours possible. Some other schools require more than 2 days a week. in field. Like, so for example, where I went, it was 3 days a week.
Right.
Which is why I had to go down to part-time at work. But we try to really balance what your lives are and needs as well.
Jumping in here because I noticed we're at 6:55.
Yeah.
And there are a couple. Lisa, did you finish your field?
Nope, I got to talk about employment-based field
Okay.
as well as advanced standing and online.
Okay, why don't
But
you
I
go
gave
that
my
way?
biggest, yeah,
I'll hold the questions because you might get to them.
yes. My
And-
biggest spiel is over though.
Okay. And let me go back to sharing my screen if I can
Thank
do
you.
that.
I want to answer questions that I know are in the chat without even looking. And then I'm going to talk about advanced standing in the online program briefly.
You
So-
can't see my chat, can you, by the way?
I can see
Nope.
the chat, yeah. What do you
You
mean?
can see the chat?
Me?
No, can you see I'm presenting, I'm sharing my screen.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. We see the
Okay, thank you, sorry.
no, sorry, misunderstood. I want to talk about an option that was only very recently approved by our accrediting body, and it's something called employment-based field. So you'll see it and hear it referred to as EBF, employment-based field. MSW students, again, only in the 2 or 4 year program, not advanced standing, are able to complete one of their 2 required field practicums at their place of employment using their actual job as the hours only if your job meets a set of requirements, okay? So typically anywhere from 15 to 20 first field students are approved to utilize their human services full-time employment work as their field practicum hours. They have to complete an additional application because of course you have to tell us where you work, the job duties, the tasks, your schedule, how it relates to social work practice and the competencies that you're supposed to develop, etc. And the field office reviews those applications and we can approve them or we can deny them. The only reason we'd ever deny it is if it doesn't have enough of the micro, meso, and macro social work learning opportunities that you have to get in that foundation year in order to be qualified to move on to your second field placement. But we try where we can, and it has been successful for many first-year students. I'll say again, though, you can only do employment-based field for one of your 2 field practicums. Most of the time, folks who don't have an MSW degree aren't working at the level of what second field is equivalent to, which is why it very rarely works out for second field to be approved. So keep that in mind, that it more often direct service professionals, case managers, those kind of folks might qualify for first year as employment-based field. We do not allow employment-based field for advanced standing students because you only get one field practicum. And we have to force you into kind of out of whatever comfort zone and organizational culture and structure you're used to and get you into a completely different organization, supervisor, colleagues, learning environment, okay? So I hope that made some people feel better. But my caveat, which is why I had asked for the stop screen share, don't depend on it. Don't leave this presentation tonight thinking, oh, I'm going to do employment-based field, so I don't need to talk to my employer about the 2 days. Don't do it to yourself. Okay. Advanced standing students. I know there's a couple of folks here. You will have one field practicum for summer, spring, and summer, fall, and spring at one agency. The field office selects the agency for you, but it's based off of a thorough application and resume that you give us that includes an opportunity for you to list out actual agencies where you might like to complete your field practicum. Okay. Oh, look, I already said my little things that were important to note. They're always on my mind because I always worry and I don't want people to feel like they didn't know later. I think that's the worst thing possible. So the online MSW program, though, for folks who are applying, as Crystal indicated, the online MSW program is a 3-year long program, but you take first field in the second year and second field in the third year. Could we be any more confusing, right? You will also complete an application and you will have an opportunity to be a little bit more involved in the selection of your first and your second year field practicums, because you will know your geographical area, like where you're coming to us from, better than we know the capital region. Okay. I think that's it.
All right, Lisa, there were a couple of questions. And I apologize if you did state them. Can your second field practicum be the same place as your full-time job?
Only if you complete an employment-based field application and it gets approved, and you didn't do employment-based field for your first placement. I hope that makes sense. And I want to remind folks that very few students in the MSW program are doing the higher level clinical work, like having a full therapeutic caseload, to get approved for second field for their job. It's only happened a couple times in more like macro level work.
All right, from Sarah. What if a current employer has already agreed to allow me to complete my practicum hours at their office? Is that allowed? I think we just talked about all that with employment-based field.
It will be allowed if it's approved, right,
Yes.
by the field office per your employment-based field application.
From Liz, let's see. If you are only interested in micro social work for therapy, what field placement would those students take?
Not sure if you mean like in the first year or the second year, or if you're so generalist first field placements are going to expose everyone, no matter if you want to be a clinician or a macro level social worker. You are going to have to do micro, meso, and macro work in the first year, because it's my role to expose you to what we call foundational social work skills with people, places, and things, and community agencies, right? And then when you select your second year placement, if you're a micro student, you might want to pick a counseling center, a therapy center, a private practice, a hospital setting where you can still do crisis intervention and individual counseling. I mean, there are so many places, though, to do micro social work. You do micro counseling and therapy at a skilled nursing facility, in a jail or a correctional facility. School social workers are doing clinical social work, right? So it really spans a lot of places or settings or types of agencies.
And then there was, does casework in DSS count for this? I think they mean EBF.
Send me your EBF application. I cannot promise any. It would be wrong of me to say maybe, probably. So it's a definite maybe. And fill out that employment-based field application when you get it, and we will try to work with you on that.
All right. Yep. If your employer changes between field placements, are we able to do employer-based again?
No. Great question, but no. So I work at St. Peter's. First year I did employment-based field, but now I work over here in a jail. Can I do it? Nope. We need to pull you out and get you in a different environment at least once.
Okay, we have a question about program cost, which we're going to get to later.
Okay.
Another field question: if I've interned or worked in an agency previously, will I be allowed to return to that agency for my practicum? Again, I think that's been addressed.
Likely not, and that's why we want to see your resume, and don't leave it off on purpose, because when that happened to me once, it was not a cute conversation. Don't leave it off your resume. But no, we are here to push you and kind of go like this and push you outside into different types of settings and experiences.
Can someone in advanced placement choose to focus on both macro and clinical? I think that's actually even
Like
Lisa, you can answer that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a combo question. I mean,
Yeah.
so, and I think probably what Crystal or Destiny would say is, well, micro and macro social work don't exist in vacuums anyway. So even though you're picking a track, you never are only taking classes in one of those tracks and completely ignoring the other track. That wouldn't even make you graduate as a good social worker. So yes, you can take classes from both the clinical track and the macro track, no matter which track you pick. Do you have to pick a clinical or macro concentration for your field practicum? Yes, but then there's some nuances. If you have a clinical placement at a hospital, tell them, I'm also interested in macro work. Could I design a new social media campaign for you? Or, you'll have a chance to kind of bring up what you want to do and make that plan with your instructor, your supervisor.
Right. And last one, I think will be up to date, is if you don't live in the Albany area, does the program help you find field placements?
So on your field application, you will be telling us the address you plan to live, like where you plan to live during field, and which counties in New York State or Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Vermont, because we have some placements there too. You check off literally on the application counties in which you'd like to be placed. And we have the master list of the hundreds of agencies we work with and all of those different counties. So yes, if it's your first year, we will find the placement for you. If it's your second year, you will find it yourself. And if you are in the online program, you will work with us to give us names of agencies that we can vet and then assign one to you.
And whoops, one more slipped in.
Yeah,
You
I
see a lot
see
of
it.
field placement supervisors hiring students when they complete the degree.
Yes. Yep. So field education can be a pipeline to employment. And many folks think it has to be it's your second year placement. So yeah, a lot of times your second year placement will keep you and say, we just trained you and you're awesome. Like, let me offer you a job. But also don't discount your first year field placement, because I myself hated my second year placement and went back to my first year placement when I graduated and got a job there. So it can be either way. And yes, it can be an employment opportunity.
All right, Lisa, I
Okay.
can advance us to the next slide to move us along.
Yes, and luckily we've already talked about employment-based field.
Yes.
This slide is simply to kind of let you know that there are some really unique, exciting, and kind of special options mostly for second field. So we have opportunities for folks in the full-time or even part-time program who might want to speed up their program a bit. They might be able to qualify to take a block field practicum. So meaning, think about second year field is usually the fall and the spring. Picture it being the summer and the fall, and then maybe you could graduate in December. Okay. Only for second field. These block options are not an option for first field. Okay. There's an application involved. You got to qualify the whole nine. You'll get all the information from my office. But I just want you to know it exists. Okay. Employment, we talked about that. A couple of really cool programs that have stipends associated and certificates and internships and aging program where you rotate through a couple of, aging type of agency settings. You have a seminar with a small group of students. There's a stipend involved. Same for the Albany Internships in Mental Health, which is AIM is sort of the nickname, AIMH. Specific evidence-based practice related field practicums where there's a stipend involved and a certificate that you get at the end. All of these things are application only, and they're only for second year. So you'll hear about them from me in my office during the first year. But this is just to kind of get you excited about some of the other options available.
Sorry, did not mean to do that, but were you done? Okay, thank you. All right, I'm gonna kind of pick up the helm here, I think. So I don't know if Lisa, you want to move to the chat?
I'm going to go through the chat and see if there's anything else field related and get you some questions, Crystal, as they come up.
All right, well, I go. All right, so the PhD in social work. Again, we have a PhD program, we have an MSW PhD joint degree. The PhD is really preparing people for academic and research in social work and for leadership in organizations and in state government. Okay, I think the key thing to note from this slide is that the MSW is the terminal degree for social work practice. So if you want to practice, the MSW is the terminal degree. That's the degree that you need. Okay. You don't need a PhD in social work to practice. A PhD is going to prepare you more for research, teaching, going into to be an academician. Okay. They do have a DSW, that's a doctorate in social work, that is more clinically focused. All right. But again, if you want to practice, it is the MSW that you need. Okay. Gonna go on here. Gonna try to go on here. There we go. Okay. Any questions, Lisa, before I turn this over to Destiny to talk about tuition and scholarships?
Let's see. They are all still coming in hot for field questions. So I'm just going to keep typing and you can keep going.
Okay, thank you, Destiny.
Sure.
Yes. Hello. Okay. So tuition and scholarships. This is a fun part of all. I think a few questions came up about this as well. So full-time MSW for in-state, okay, for in-state only is $7,727, okay, per semester. So it equals about 15,000-ish for the entire year. This is tuition and fees. Okay, for part-time, again, it's about half, $3,900 for tuition per semester. And again, this is be what, $7,000-ish for the year. For the online program, it's a little bit unique. It goes by credits. I know some semesters have 6 credits, some semesters probably have 7 or 8 credits. So this number is based on 6 credits only per semester. So it's $3,670 tuition and fees, which equals about $7,000 for the year. And I'll talk about in the next slide about the scholarships availability. So yes, so individuals who were EOP or HEOP in their undergraduate years qualify for the GOP program, which covers 9 credits per semester. So in the full-time, this is only for full-time program individuals, okay? Because a part-time only does 6 credits per semester. The GOP program covers 9 credits. Usually MSW full-time program students take about 15 credits per semester to make up the 31 credits. So you are responsible for the other 6 or 7 credits. The Carson Card Diversity Fellowship, this is kind of another program that covers 9 credits per semester for your graduate program. Once admitted into the program around May, June-ish, you'll get an email saying, hey, scholarships are available and live for you to apply for. You get a list of scholarships. You can read through them and say, hey, this is one most speaks to me. This is one I resonate with. Okay, there's scholarships on vastly different areas, different topics, and you can apply for them. Most of them do require a writing sample. They'll give you essay topics or writing topics to write on to qualify for that scholarship. And on top of the scholarships SSW has, specific to school social welfare, there's scholarships for the University of Albany for all graduate students. This is the Great Dane Scholarship and a Dean's Merit Scholarship. So you will be able to go, once admitted to the school, you'll be able to go in and apply for those through the UAlbany website. Graduate assistantships. Okay, so graduate assistantships are for MSW and PhD students. Graduate assistant in the MSW realm, about 10 hours per week. This is you kind of work with your graduate assistant supervisor to kind of set your schedule. It's kind of we'll base it around field and school. We know that you have field in school and class. We want to make sure that you complete your classwork and can work at the same time. This can be in the SSW help desk, helping students doing this kind of informational sessions. It can be in the field office, or it can be in the community service office as well. and FAFSA. So I know usually individuals who meet the FAFSA requirements and apply through FAFSA, I believe every January, qualify for around, and this is on a usual basis, but not for everybody, around $20,000 per year, which covers tuition and fees for the 1 or 2 years that you're in school. I think that's it. Do I have any questions before we move on about
Is tuition for full-time the same as tuition for advanced standing?
Yes, tuition cut because you're taking 15 credits per semester, you'll be same as for advanced standing for full time.
Not in the summer. In the summer, advanced standing is scheduled to take 10 credits. So they're charged per credit. Right? And then in the fall and the spring, they charge full-time.
Okay. Yep.
I want to make sure
So
to
that-
understand this question. Is the 20,000 typically loans or grants like Pell?
Usually graduate students don't have qualify for Pell Grant. Pell Grants are usually for undergraduate students only. So they're usually loans from the federal government.
Okay.
And then there's one who
Yep.
says they were previously an ASAP student back when they were in CUNY. Are there similar programs that they can join?
ASAP.
Yeah. Do you know
Go ahead.
about that, Destiny?
No, I do not.
Okay. I don't know about that either. What I would say is to check back with the ASAP at CUNY and see if there's anything, just any support offered or that you can apply for at the graduate school, the graduate level. I have not heard of that one. Okay, I think we are caught up. I'm gonna move on. Destiny, can you cover housing?
Yes, housing. So UAlbany, this is our campus. So in the background of our campus, you can see like the little tiny houses in the background. A lot of those houses offer student housing. But UAlbany does not offer housing to graduate students. You may be like, why? Why not? Because there is a large number of undergrad compared to graduate, and undergrads are required to stay on campus where graduate students are not. So we have prioritized undergraduates as far as housing, and then graduate students are available to choose their housing throughout the UAlbany, Schenectady, Troy area as they please. There's a lot of rentals. A lot of rentals are student based. A lot of rentals are do have a preference for young professionals, which we all are. And they will rent to you if you go have a tour of the house and so forth and so on. Good thing about UAlbany, if you do not have access to your own personal ride, we have free CDTA buses throughout the capital region. You use your ID and this is your token. Okay, your token to get a free bus ride. I'll place the link to the UAlbany housing guide. It tells you what to look for in a house, what you should choose in a house, places that have safe housing. And then if you go on Facebook, if you have a Facebook account, you can kind of type in UAlbany off-campus housing, and you will see a lot of listings of houses that are available for students. Some of the houses that I have experience with, they do rent for the academic year. So instead of doing a 12-month lease, they do a 10-month lease. So from August when you start until May when you finish. So yes.
Hey.
Do I have any questions about housing before we go on, Dr. Kristen? Okay.
No questions about housing.
Okay.
There's a question kind of related to one thing you talked about. Does UAlbany hire grad students to be RAs?
If you want to work in residential life, you'll be a GA for residential life, not an RA. So you overlook or oversee the RAs. So yes, they do hire GAs for residential life.
Okay. And I'm going to answer a quick question here because it's faster for me to say it than to type it. What is the ratio between student and teacher for the online program? That's a great question. So again, the online program is new. So I can tell you what we have established now, and that we are going to have a class of 15 students for the online program. 15. And then we're considering allowing 10 additional, maybe students from the MSW, the part-time or advanced standing when appropriate into those classes. So we're looking at approximately 25-to-1 ratio. Okay. All right, I think we're up to date. Whoops, up, went too fast. Okay, so I'm gonna do a quick, because we are at 7:20. All right, so I'm gonna cover licensure really quickly because this is something that's years ahead. Is after the MSW. Okay. So in essence, in New York State, licensure is a 2-tier system, and you will hear all this information again at least twice before you graduate. It's a 2-tier system currently in New York State. The LMSW is you have to take an exam after you graduate. All of our MSW graduates are eligible to take the LMSW exam, and it really defines your scope of practice of what you can do at that level in clinical settings for the LMSW. The LCSW is the second tier. You have to work about 3 years full-time, complete a certain number of hour requirements for work, receiving a specific type of supervision. You have to take another exam. Obviously you have to already have your MSW for that. And what this does is it allows you to practice independently, and it also allows you to supervise other mental health applications. So sometimes if you're looking at social workers and you see LMSW, LCSW after their names, that's what they're referring to as your licensing status. Okay. And okay, so the application process, because that's probably really relevant to today. And so let's cover that, Destiny.
Okay, so application process material. So it's first noting that applications are due January 31st at 11:59. All right, for the summer and fall semester. This does not apply to the advanced, does not apply to the non-degree program. Sorry, the non-degree students can apply. I go in order of what I think that, or what I have seen historically about students and what they should submit first is the 3 references. Please reach out to your 3 references first, okay? You can add more than 3 and you can send your applications to more than 3 references, but please do your 3 references first. They take the longest to come back, historically speaking, through the graduate school. The next thing I believe you should focus on is your transcripts, okay? If you have college classes that you took in high school that are on your college transcripts, gotta reach out to them too. All right, those are the ones that probably long 4 years ago, but reach out to them and get your transcripts from all the schools that you've been to or schools you've attended, even if you attended for a semester or so. Please get those transcripts in. A lot of schools are busy around this time because a lot of students are applying to master's programs. So get the transcripts in next. And after that, your personal statement. All right, on the website, it lists 3 bullet points of things we should have in your personal statements. What I suggest students do as well, if you have any type of grades that are lower than usual, no, not your average grades or semesters, you kind of just like, didn't have a good semester. Explain that in your essay as well. Let us know, sometimes COVID affected individuals, how it affected you, how you rebound from it, how you overcame it, and how that teaches you to be a good social worker, okay? And then last, the resume. You submit your resume with all your experiences on it. This will help again the field office as well. And then last, your application fee of $75. Once these all are in, you can submit your application will be completed and be submitted. Side note, the transcripts, for those who are still in school, you can submit your unofficial transcripts first, and then once you receive your semester over, you can submit your official transcripts after that.
Okay, so that was a question. Are unofficial transcripts accepted? Yes, but you will have to submit your official transcripts at some point. Okay. Question, is there an opportunity to application fee waiver for international students?
You will have to go through our international office, our international student office, and they will help you with the application fee waiver. It's not guaranteed, of course, but you can ask them and they will take you through the steps.
Okay. All right. How does payment work if you submit a fee waiver?
So the fee waiver is an application form. You will submit it on your application portal for consideration by the graduate school. But at the bottom of the fee waiver, it will say, hey, submit this with your application, and you can submit it to that. There'll be a place for you to submit it.
Okay. All right. And I know we're going to get to the GREs in the next slide, so I'm going to hold that question. Advice on writing a personal statement.
For follow the prompts to the best of your ability. Follow through with each of your ideas, okay? We want to see, a beginning and an end. We want to know about you and what brought you to this point of being pursuing a social work degree. Why are you pursuing a social work degree? Again, I'm not a person who has social work background before this. I was a biology major. I was pre-med. So again, it doesn't matter where you come from. Let us know what brought you here, what brought you to this point. How will this benefit you and others? We went over again earlier in the slides about the mission, about social justice, about human development and human behavior. We want to know how these apply to your life and how you will continue to benefit others' life. Social work is a giving degree or giving profession. Again, any type of hardships you have, if you have a semester where COVID hit, people were in school in 2020 and that kind of brought your grades down. Let us know these things as well. And yeah, bye.
Okay. One thing I'll add to this is also, I think because social work is really attractive to people who have been through certain life circumstances, right? And have lived through something and now they want to give back, right? But it's so important that when you're doing your personal statement, that you write in such a way that you're showing us that you're ready to be a therapist. And I jokingly say, not that you need a therapist, okay? Like it is not the place for for bleeding all over the paper. Pardon my really poor vernacular, okay? But you really want to show how, if there's certain life circumstances, how that has led you to doing this in a really positive way, and that you're now ready to go on, and why you're ready to go on and be a social worker. Okay. Let's see. Do we do rolling admissions, or do you review all applications after the deadline?
So we do not do rolling admissions. We do review applications after the January 31st deadline.
Okay.
Again, this is
And at
not
some point we may decide to extend the deadline, in which case we would post it on the internet and let people know at that point. And Destiny, I'm so sorry I cut you off. What were you saying?
And I was saying this did not apply to the non-degree students, but
Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm just really mindful of time. And Natasha, I know you're asking a specific question. I will try to respond to you directly in the chat. Okay. All right. And Destiny?
sure. So I know somebody asked a question about the GREs. We do not require the GREs. Yay. Okay, so somebody always asks, can I take them? You can take them and submit your scores, but they're not required. So from the top, dual degree, you must meet the application requirements for both programs. So I know many programs have different questions that ask in their essays. Okay, make sure that your essay is particular to all the questions that they're asking at MSW and criminal justice, or MSW and PH. Okay, so you must meet the requirements. If it's a 3.0 or 3.5, must meet the requirements for both programs. For advanced standing students, because you guys come in with credits and already have experience in the field, you only require one letter of recommendations, and it must be, or one of the letter recommendations must be from a supervisor or liaison in your field placement experience. Okay, so it can be a supervisor, a liaison, and a teacher or a counselor, but one must be from a supervisor or field liaison.
All right. And someone had asked a question about the psychology GRE. Will taking the psychology subject test for the GRE strengthen your application? Right? Not necessarily. I mean, if you take it and you've done well on it and you want to include it, by all means, right? But certainly not required, and it's not something that we would look for in the application. Okay. And let's see, in the question. Destiny, there's a question in the chat about non-degree courses. At some point, could you provide a link to the cost per semester
Absolutely.
in the chat? That would be great. Okay, so Nicole, look for the link coming from Destiny to respond to that. Okay, whew, we made it. 7:29. We have 1 minute for questions and answers. Just kidding. I'm free to stay on. Were there any questions? And I'm actually gonna, I think, stop the share at this point.
Yes, please.
All right.
Yay, people again. Hi.
Yes, and Kayla.
Hi. Um, I have a question that's kind of specific about specific to my circumstances regarding the JD and the MSW program. Is there somebody that I could reach out to specifically about that? Like an advisor or something that I could speak to?
So the advisor for the MSW JD program is Nancy Claiborne. She's NC at albany.edu. NC at albany.edu. All right. And I would also say to CC Destiny on that question. Because if it's more of an admissions type question, then she might be better to answer that.
And what's your email, Destiny?
Sorry, D Bender, D as in dog, B as in boy, Bender at albany.edu.
And you said it's NC at albany.edu, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I'll try to put those in the chat for you, Kayla, if I can get to it. Just hard for me to do 3 things at once. So, okay. All right. Dion?
Good evening. I just have a question about the non-degree program. I'm an alumni and I graduated in 1993, so it's been 30 years. And I'm a little intimidated, so I'm thinking about taking the non-degree program first to see how, to feel it out a little bit. So the tuition for that, when there's with the non-degree program, there's no aid for that, is there? Financial aid for that program?
No.
No, there is not.
Okay. So do you know, like, because I'm a non-worker, I'm actually disabled, so I don't work. So, I'm on a fixed income. Do you know if there's any programs that can help a person like myself?
Yes.
Years ago, I knew that there was a program through VESID.
That's it. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're still doing it or
Okay.
not.
There,
The other, what was that?
I'll go ahead after you finish.
And the other thing I would do is I would say check with our disability access office, their DAIS, Disability Access and Inclusion Student Services, I think.
Yep,
Again, I'll try to drop that information in the chat for you,
Okay.
because they might know of
Okay.
some information.
Okay. Thank you.
Destiny, did you have something to add?
Yes, I'm gonna write you this, the program that I know does sponsor students for non-degree. So I'll just put it in the chat so everyone can have it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Nicole?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry, my laptop mic has been on sabbatical for a while. This is the first time it's working. So I had 2, maybe 3, but I'm gonna try to make it 2, I don't want to keep everyone really late. But my first question is, what is the GPA requirement? Is it 3.0 or is it higher?
Destiny?
Yeah, it's a 3.0.
Okay. Is that so I have 3 questions then. Sorry. So I had a 2.8 cumulative, but I was also in school during COVID. There was other circumstances that I'll reference in my essay. Is it kind of cut and dry where no 3.0, you're out of here, or is it like depending how low it was?
So no, we don't do cut and dry. There's no 3.0. We just can't let you in. Okay, we are social workers at the end of the day. We do believe in giving people chances. So no, again, your biggest benefit is explain to us how COVID affected you and let us know and highlight to us how you have rebounded from that. So a lot of people go from a 2.5 to a 4.0. This is a great thing that we want to see in your essay. So yes, no cut and dry. You can always apply.
Okay, yeah, because I was looking at the online program because as soon as my classes went online, I had a 3.9, but because I only took 12 credits instead of 15, I missed Dean's List and I was so mad at myself. My next question is because I'm gonna be the first in my family to ever go to grad school, let alone college. So I just wanted to ask this. I don't, if this is something I should ask like one-on-one with a different department too. How does accommodations work with grad school?
Accommodations for.
Like
So
learning disabilities.
I'll jump in on that. So that's it's great that you questioned because I just put the link in the chat. It's DAISS, DAISS. It's the Disability Access Inclusion Student Services Office. They work with students, all right, to see if there's any type of issue or concern or special need that might require, right, some type of reasonable accommodation. Okay. And then they will give you information on how to communicate that with your instructor so your instructors know. You might need extra time on papers, right? Or to take exams in a quiet setting. Okay. And so the important thing to remember also when you're going to social work is some of these accommodations don't necessarily translate to the field office, right? So there's always a little bit of special negotiation that may need to happen between DAISS and the field. Okay. So that's just one little caveat. All right. But so if you have any like a learning disability or some other, Dion, you also mentioned it, I would say make sure you're connecting with DAISS office, okay, that you're getting the services that you need, okay, and what you're entitled to. Okay. And I did put the link in the chat. I tried to find their contact information. I don't know if you noticed websites, they no longer list phone numbers. So you have the website in the chat there for you, okay? And I see Kiara, and just noting it's 7:37. So if people do need to sign off, I certainly understand. I can absolutely stay on and spend more time here. But we'll definitely want to let people know that we're at time. But one other thing I want to add, we had a really critical staff member sign on in the middle of this. Linda Mertz, if you want to just say hello, and introduce yourself.
Hi, sorry I was late. I'm kind of running between all kinds of things. And so I'm Linda Mertz. I wear a lot of hats at the school. I work in the Associate Dean's office. I also coordinate the Internships in Aging project, and I'm going to be the coordinator for the online MSW program. So, and I've been popping into the chat a little bit, trying to contribute something. But anyway, let's let Kiara ask her question because Lisa and I are having disagreements in the chat.
Okay. All right, Kiara, what's your question? Who can't hear you? No, nothing.
Oh my gosh. Shoot, we can't hear you. You were asking something about the liaison. So were you wondering what the field liaison position is, or you were trying to identify who that was at your previous school? Second thing. So because I think you're applying to advanced standing. So you had a BSW. You're in a BSW program or were. So the field instructor would have been the person that supervised you and met with you every week to talk about social work practice at your agency. Some BSW schools also employ liaisons, but some don't. So you may or may not even have had a liaison. And if you did, it could have been an outside community social worker, or it could have been a faculty member from your school, because some schools do that. So it's not the same thing as who works in the field office, like coordinating your placements and matching you, because that's what we do. I hope that helps. You're welcome.
This was the best example of like question and answer charades I've ever seen. Thank you very much.
It was fabulous.
Well done, Karen and Lisa. Thank you.
That was good. I have a little lip reading experience in my ASL work, so it helps out. You never know.
Ava, you have a question?
I do. Thank you. So I'm
Or is it Eva? I'm sorry, Eva.
Actually, the first was correct. Ava.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. I'm currently looking specifically at the online program just because it's difficult to move out of the Utica area. And the hour 45 commute is a little long, but I was wondering, I love being involved on campuses, so it's a little sad that I have to forego that experience. I was wondering what the opportunities were for possible online students to do like TA or possible research work, even if it's just like data analysis, like on the side. Are there opportunities for that?
So I was trying to field that, and I mean, we're kind of just trying to start this out, so it's a little hard to say what it's going to look like. But I think one of the things that we are really committed to is to make this online MSW be an experience that is sort of somewhat similar to what you would get in if you're in person. So we're hoping that the online cohort can have opportunities to get to know each other, that there's opportunities to get to know faculty and staff. So we're really thinking about how can we deliver all of the pieces of the MSW program virtually. So it's not going to be the same, but trying to really, oh, go ahead.
No, finish. I was interrupting.
No, I was just going to say, trying to do the best we can to sort of mimic things or find ways to get people involved and feel like they're connected with the school.
Just wanting to carefully say that while we cannot guarantee students that aren't in the online program access to online or hybrid classes, if you're organized and register on time, we have some students living in Utica who do their field placements in Utica, take some classes online, and drive to campus every other week for the 2 classes that they stack back to back on one day. And then they still get a little bit of the campus feel, the I need to live where I need to live feel, just something to consider.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah, and I would like to add for online students, if so things like research opportunities, right? Like you can do an independent study and maybe work with a faculty member on their research project remotely if it allows you to, right? So that opportunity might also be available. And again, assuming, say you get into the program, maybe there's a special something on campus that you want to come to, right? We'd love to have you, right? So like, it's not saying you can't.
You're not banned from campus.
Right.
I'd love to meet you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right, Jason.
Lisa, you kind of touched on, I'm done in Delaware County, so you kind of touched on sort of the experience I envisioned with a bit of hybrid if you plan ahead. And you mentioned people do stack their classes and they only come up to Albany a couple days a week. Could you just give us kind of a thumbnail sketch of what, when do classes meet? How is that feasible? The logistics of something like that?
Thinking Crystal or Destiny might be better at the time frame.
Whoever, yeah, I'm so sorry. You had just mentioned
yeah,
some experience
they can
with
start
that.
as early as 8:30 in the morning classes, and then there's classes that go till practically when I'm in bed because I'm old now. What is it, 9, 10 o'clock at night, something like that?
Yeah.
But do they typically meet once a week, once every other week? That sort of thing, I guess, is what I was looking for.
They typically meet once a week, right? So for your first field practicum is scheduled to occur on Monday and Tuesdays. So we will schedule the courses on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And they're typically 3-hour courses that meet once a week, right? And so we're thinking of those courses that say a first year MSW would have to take. So it's possible for someone to come in, like if you're really gung-ho about this, and take your macro course at Thursday morning, your Hubsy Thursday late morning, early afternoon, and your micro Thursday late afternoon or Thursday evening.
Right.
Okay. This is literally the exercise that Linda and I do probably twice a year. And we're like, okay, can the part-time students come here and do this then? So yes, you can stack things. And we really do try to optimize and maximize the number of courses that you can take in one day, if you so choose.
Perfect. That sounds great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? I know there was one about, are we going to make this available? This recording is going to be made available. Destiny's going to take care of that.
Are there online tests, waiting, and video calls for the online program? Maybe that's sort of referencing sync versus async. Like, I'm not sure. So if Liz, if you want to let us know what you're wondering. Oh, writing. Online
yeah,
tests.
sure. Hi. Yeah, I was kind of just curious what the online classes look like in terms of like maybe the structure of, how it would go if there's a lot of essays, like video calls, things like that.
There are not a lot of video calls because this is all asynchronous, right? So you're not going to be, except for field, you're not going to be required to be at a spot like at the same time as your instructor. So, calls won't be required.
Like this.
Right. You could expect to see papers be assigned, discussion groups, right? You might see some videos of some lecture videos that the instructor might have available for you, okay, along with exercises for you to do. So what's going to happen is we have an arm of the university that is, all they do is help programs with online learning, okay? So we're working with them to do best practices for online learning, okay? So that the modules are set up, right, to really, again, optimize students' learning, right, and meeting the best practices in this online learning environment, okay? Linda, anything to add there?
I was just meeting about that today. Yeah, no, I think, again, we try and provide experience, even though they're asynchronous, opportunities to connect and discuss. But yeah, if you're online, you do need to be good at writing and reading and retaining information yourself. I would also say that I think that folks who take an asynchronous online program need to be fairly confident in their abilities to organize themselves and keep track of things, because it's a little bit more
time management, right?
on you, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at a little bit of a discussion here about the MPA and the MSW.
Yeah.
And it's great. The one thing I would add about I think it's like, what are some of the advantages of the MSW over the MPA is the flexibility of the MSW, right? The MSW is what was that, Lisa?
I just screamed, yes, because I'm like obsessed with that.
It is one of the most flexible graduate degrees you can get. Because it's gonna, even though you're going for the MSW MPA and you think you're macro, all right, you never know. I was clinical.
Me too.
Never practiced a day in my life. Right? I just didn't know. All right. But so the MSW, I think that's the advantage. It's an incredibly flexible degree. That's going to give you some of those, again, those MPA skills, those public administration skills, but also give you some of those clinical skills. And the clinical skills, even though you're macro and management, you will use them every day. If you're working with people, you will use your clinical skills. Okay, so that's what I would say is the benefit. Now, I will also say one thing I have in my back pocket is I do have a joint MSW MPA program kind of mapped out. So if you are interested in that, all right, it's not a formal dual degree, but I do have kind of the sketch of one. And I know someone who's teaching for us now who completed that program, and maybe I can link you up with him to see if he'd be willing to talk to you about it. Okay.
I would love that. Thank you.
Okay. So Cassidy, send me an email, and I'll drop my email in the chat, and follow up about this. And I will tell you this, and I'm, again, being very honest, if I don't answer you, email me again.
Okay.
And again.
Okay.
And again, because I get hundreds of email per day, and that's just from Destiny. Okay. And Linda. Oh, we're talking about Linda.
Guilty.
So just be persistent, okay? And I will get to you. Thank you. And let me put my email in the chat.
We have definitely missed questions in the chat. So if there's any leftover, I don't
No,
know.
I tried not to, but
I know, but like, I don't know if those people have left. So who else has a
Right.
question they need to get in?
yeah. Anybody else? We're disappearing one by one.
Okay. I really hope this has been helpful for you.
Yes.
Okay. It's been
Very good
actually,
to see you all.
yeah, it's been incredibly helpful for me. I love, working with our students and really engaging with people.
Yep.
So thank you for your time. Okay.
Everybody have a great evening. Hopefully we'll see you next fall
All right.
or
All right.
sooner.
Destiny, how are you going to make this available?
As soon as we log off, it will be available.
Okay. Perfect. All right. And you'll email it to people who had registered?
It'll be on the UAlbany page where they registered the first time.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Thank you, everyone. If you celebrate, happy holidays.
Yeah. Happy
All
New
right.
Year.
If you're currently in school and you're in between semesters, please, refresh, rejuvenate, revitalize. Lots of self-care that's for everybody,
For all of
because
us.
the world's a really nutty place right now. So just take care of yourselves and one another. And thank you very much.
All right.
Bye.
See everyone soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you, Destiny.
Problem. Thank you, Dr. Crystal.
All right. I will talk to you at some point soon, I'm sure.
Yep.
Bye-bye.